Dion here, man. I'm here with a video because, I saw something that I wanted to talk about. I told y'all I was going to expand the channel and talk about different things and bring some things up. You know what I mean? But I kind of wanted to touch on this subject because it's a situation where it's an understanding of what's going on in the world, along with this is how sensitive people can be. So, not too long ago, Snoop Dogg was on the podcast, and he was on that podcast speaking in reference to, I think, one of the latest Buzz Lightyear movies or something to that effect. And he's sitting in there, and Snoop Dogg is watching the movie with his grandson. And in the movie, there is a lesbian couple depicted. They have a child. So his grandson looks up at him and goes, but she a woman, is she a woman? How does that work? So Snoop Dogg's response was, I'm just here to watch the movie. But you know what? Just because I like to make sure people can hear what someone has said, let me go ahead and share my screen. And I'm going to go ahead and play the little clip from the video, you know what I mean? Just so we can hear what he had to say.
They put it everywhere.
Yeah.
I took my grandson to see what was the movie with Buzz Light.
Toy Story?
Not that one, but
the new Buzz. The Lightyear. I think it's
yeah,
called
with
Lightyear.
Kiki Palmer's in that movie.
Okay.
She plays like the daughter. So we watching it, and the lady, which is Kiki's mama, they move on into the space years. They move down the line. They're like, man, she had a baby with a woman. Well, my grandson in the middle of the movie, like, Papa Snoop, how she have a baby with a woman? She a woman. Oh, I didn't come in for this. I just came to watch the goddamn movie. Hey, man, watch the movie. They just said she had a baby. They both women.
You see what I mean? You're forcing children to ask questions they shouldn't be asking at that young of an age. Why does a child need to know something like that early? Why is it that we as parents are forced to have to watch this stuff and allow our children to be indoctrinated into these ways and ask these questions and start thinking about these things? But I'm going to let him finish real quick.
How did she have a baby? Shh. The movie ain't over with. So it's like, I'm scared to go to the movies now. Like, y'all throwing me in the middle of shit I don't have an answer for.
What'd you tell them?
Watch the movie. It's just popcorn.
You said, we don't know.
It threw me for a loop. I'm like, what part of the movie was this? These are kids that we have to show that at this age.
So I'm going to stop right there. I'm not going to get too deep into the comments that he had, but here's my thing. When it comes to the LGBTQIA and any other thing they've added in, it's such a sensitive subject, and people are so scared to talk about it. Literally, you have to think about it. They are more protected than anyone in the world. The reason being is when it comes to social media, if you say anything against them in any way, your video 9 times out of 10 is going to be taken down. That's literally the case. They throw you in YouTube jail, Twitter jail, Facebook jail, whatever you want to call it. They will literally lock you down because you said something in any way, shape, or form against that community. Now, let me explain this. I have no issue with that community. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. They do their thing. I do mine. I don't live like that. You live like that, that's your choice. That's your God-given right. You can do whatever you want. But here's my biggest problem. Why are we always maligning people for protecting their children? If you're a part of that community and you think that it's okay to start explaining sex to children that young, you're the problem. That's a little kid. These kids don't need to know about that stuff. Snoop Dogg didn't say anything wrong. Snoop Dogg went in there and said straight up, look, I'm just here to watch the damn movie. I wanted to take my grandkids out. Snoop is a grandpa, y'all. Snoop is a grandfather. They just got a few different grandkids. Grandparents don't want to go to the movies and have to explain adult things to children. And I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? People out there in the world, Christians, conservatives, Catholics, you know what I'm saying, religious people, whatever you want to call us, we live by a different way. And we don't want that. So we don't want our children exposed to something like that early and that fast and that often. Do you understand the conversation that has to go on? Do you know how inquisitive children are? They are sponges. They soak up everything they see, and they will have questions. You're gonna get that little inquisitive child that does not have that will not stop with the questions because you haven't properly answered it so that it makes sense in their mind. And if you notice, Snoop Dogg said Keke Palmer was in the movie. Why he go see the movie? To go support Keke Palmer. Because he's doing what we should do as black people and supporting our own people. But the issue is I wanted to take my son to see a movie. I wanted to take my grandson to see a movie. I didn't want to take my grandson to see a movie where I got to start explaining whole grown up life situations to him. And this has been going on for years. Disney has lost so much money over the years because they forcibly have to input something from the LGBTQ community. And that's the issue there, is that when you're doing that, you're losing money. Snow White, disaster. Elio, disaster. I think, what was it? There's some elements, trash. All of the movies they're coming out with wind up failing. Why? Because you literally ripped apart the core of what Disney was about. It was a children's movie. This is made for kids. See, here's the thing, and I'll say this as respectfully as I can. If that community deeply and truthfully wants something, create your own stuff from scratch. Don't go back and try to take anything that was already done. I didn't watch the Fantastic Four. You know why? Because Silver Surfer was female. In the comics, Silver Surfer was never a woman. Silver Surfer was a man. His name was Norrin Rad. Why do I need to see Silver Surfer as a female? For what? And this is the issue. It's forced on you at every turn. There's nowhere you can look where that rhetoric is not spewed in some way. Now, once again, I'm not saying they ain't supposed to live their lives, do anything, but here's the thing: build your own. See, when it comes to, trans people in sports, instead of y'all wanting to compete in the sport where y'all aren't biologically that, how about you get them a separate section where literally trans sports there? You don't have to worry about male or female here. This is your own. This is you. Take it. Go with it. Do what you please. Create your own. Make new records. But don't come in and steal from women. Because I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's funny how you see men running to women's sports when they suck. They turn around, they turn trans, and then I'm a woman now, so I can go compete in women's sports, and I want to steal from them. But you don't see women running into men's sports. Why is that? Because women understand how men are. They're not dumb. And they know these things. And we should be protecting women and appreciating them for who they are. See, I don't have to say the word biological in front of a woman. I know what a woman is. Okay? A woman can bear children. A woman menstruates. A woman is born with certain body parts. This stuff is natural. So for me, they're going to try to rip Snoop Dogg apart because the man didn't want to take his child and give him a grown-up conversation when the kid is under the age of 10. Why? Why are y'all mad at him for that? And Snoop Dogg got plenty of gay friends. And it ain't as if he did anything wrong. It's just I don't want it. Snoop is basically saying, with so many people out there saying, I don't want to take my kids to the movies. Or my grandkids, should I say. I don't want to take my grandkids to the movies and then have to go through a whole explanation of LGBTQIA. For what? For that to be the most loving community, they're some of the most angry and sensitive and hateful people. You don't believe me? Go watch Nicholas Bowling. Nicholas Bowling is a God-fearing man. Good old-fashioned Christian dude. and he's out there trying to save souls. And whenever he's out at any of these these community events for them, they freak out. They take his stuff. They get violent. They yell in his face. They they spit on him. They do stuff. They do all kinds of things to him. But yet y'all are a loving community, and you're so happy and so peaceful and so welcoming. I don't know how a community that's so peaceful, so loving, and so welcoming can be so angry about somebody preaching the gospel. If that's the case, don't listen. Just don't pay attention to it. Continue to have your pride. Continue to go and do all the debauchery and the disgusting things that you are doing, and continuing to go against God and mocking the Lord, and trying to turn kids into things that they are not when they barely can even figure out what toy they want to play with the next day. But it just, to me, you can't malign Snoop for saying, I don't want to do that to my grandchildren. I don't want to have to explain that stuff right now. When you start getting 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, yeah, we can have the conversation. Because right around that time, things are going to start changing, puberty hits, all kinds of things. But you're going to malign Snoop Dogg for basically saying, I don't want to explain a gay relationship to my grandson because he's too young for that, because he shouldn't be asking these types of questions, because this movie shouldn't be depicting this type of rhetoric so that these kids start asking these types of questions. There's some disgusting things that go on in the world. And I'm sorry. I can guarantee you I wouldn't want to take any of my children to a movie where I have to explain to them that kind of a life. It's not fair. Why do we have to have that forcibly shoved on us at every turn? Movies, commercials, anything you watch on television. I think Disney even has it in their contracts that you have to have some kind of rhetoric like that where you're representing that community if you do a new movie or a new TV show. And what kills me is if you go look at the numbers, they're failing. They're not making money off these shows. I really was great. I was geared up to watch Ironheart. When you put the focus more on representing that community than you do on the actual show, you lose people. And the reason that I say you lose people is because you're looking at the majority versus the minority. They're a very small percentage of the country. And you keep trying to cater to them and you keep losing money. Last I checked, when you create a business is about making money and about getting to the paper, getting to the bag, as these kids say. Not about running from it and or screwing off all your money because you're too busy trying to put something out there that people aren't looking to watch. A regular Christian conservative doesn't want to see that, and they don't want their children to see that. Snoop Dogg didn't want his grandson to ask that type of question. Why is he wrong for stating that? Why is he wrong for saying, hey, I definitely didn't expect this. I was taken aback by it, and I just want to watch a movie. But he's wrong for that. Because anytime you go against that community, instead of them being able to speak with you in a normal manner to understand your reasoning on why you don't agree with some of the things that they do, it's automatic. You're transphobic, you're gay phobic, you're this phobic, you hate this, you hate that, you scream at us, you're hurting my mental health, all these things. Whatever happened to thick skin? See, I come from an era where I grew up, you just had thick skin. It is what it is. Somebody say something to you, say something back. You know what I'm saying? But you didn't go running home crying to your mama, oh, somebody said something about me, oh, somebody did this. No, you had thick skin, you moved on, you lived life. You were stronger for it. But for me personally, the whole situation with Snoop Dogg, where they're attacking him, is stupid and it's wrong. Leave that man alone for not wanting to do that to his grandson. Why are we mad at him for it? Snoop Dogg don't deserve that. Snoop Dogg is a global icon. And just a man that wanted to take his grandson to go see a good movie and be out there and be a grandpa and be a regular human being for once. And you took that from him because now he's got a grandson asking questions he should never have to ask. See, that's the problem. People get to a point where they don't listen to things and they don't see things for what they truthfully are. I've never in my life been in a situation like that, so I'm very fortunate. But me personally, in my own life, yeah, I mean, I have gay family members. I know people in that community. They all know how I feel. But you can't shove something like that down a kid's throat at that early of an age. There are too many things in this world documented where you see people out there that are reading books to kids that are talking about sex. That's disgusting. Children don't need to know about that. They have drag queens reading to kids. Why are you exposing kids to cross-dressing at that early of an age? There are lots of things being done, and you know what I'm saying, it's you can't live your life the way you want to live it. You can't be conservative because at every turn when you're trying to be conservative, there's something there that they are trying to make you understand, believe, and you want to deal with, and you don't have to. Like, having a child in today's times is so rough because if you are just a regular good old fashioned, you know what I'm saying, conservative human being and you don't believe in all of that stuff and you don't think that stuff is right and it should be taught to your child, you've got to screen everything. There used to be a time where you could sit your kid down and if they wanted to watch a TV show, you didn't have to screen it. You could just let them watch the show. It was a show for children. But now you got to screen everything. Why? Because Transformers got a non-binary transformer. Why do we have a non-binary transformer? It's a machine. They communicate in binary code, meaning zeros and ones, but they don't have a sex. So why are we putting one on them? Yeah, you may say he or she or something like that, but that's just, it is what it is. But why are we putting that in the Transformers? We don't care for that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like everything you do, you have to be so careful of what is taught to your children. And you have to be so mindful. And see, here's the thing. People who want to shove that on children and force that on children, you got to think about what you're doing. You're playing with a kid's mind. Children are already the most indecisive beings on the planet. And you're about to make them even more indecisive and question more of life by trying to give them something that they have no idea about. They don't know what that is. They don't understand what it means. And as a parent, you don't want to teach that to your children. That's not okay. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what he say. My boy Jason's in here. So why don't people ask the same questions when people at church are saying things? There are millions of more documents. There is true. This is true. And I'm not going to say that there isn't. I ain't saying don't ask the questions. I'm saying ask the questions. By all means, I ask the same questions. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying what. So when I state what I state, let me say this. I'm not stating that there aren't bad things that happen to people in every which way from all angles. I'm not saying that, religion is perfect and that, Catholicism is perfect and that, and Christianity. I'm not saying everything is perfect. Things happen in all forms of the community. And it's not right. You've got lots of documented things happening where there are priests that unfortunately have done disgusting and inhumane things. But what I will say is, for me, as a man, you know what I'm saying, certain things I don't subscribe to. And I should have the right and the freedom to feel that way without being attacked for it. You know what I'm saying? Because they put themselves out there like that. And I'll tell you that, Jason. This is why. If you really want to have that conversation, Jason asked a very simple question. Why are they targeting so hard these last few years? Because they put themselves out there to be targeted. There has been a big emphasis and focus over the last couple of years, ever since COVID and right after COVID. Let me explain. Ever since COVID and right after COVID, have you not seen an uptick in that community and how visible they are? There's a reason. Like, they're being targeted so hard because they're opening the doors for that. And it's the reason being is why they're being targeted, because it's not normal. This isn't a regular thing. A dude cross-dressing is not a regular everyday occurrence. You don't that, like, now in today's times maybe, but for a good chunk of America, we see that we're like, huh? Now, don't get me wrong, hey, it's your prerogative. You do whatever you feel is best for yourself. It is what it is to me. I care less. You know what I'm saying? Just don't bring that my way. I'm not that dude. I don't do that. You live your life, I live mine. I'm not about to judge you for yours, but it is what it is. But what I'm saying is, I know it is, but you have to look at it from where I'm coming from, is from a conservative and a societal standpoint. If you are walking down the street and you see someone and you clearly know what they are and they're dressing as the opposite, and for that split second in everybody's mind, you're like, and then you might go back to live your life. You may say nothing. You may walk past it. You may be like, hey, I don't know. But for that split second, you're going to look and go, in your head, anybody with a brain, in your head, you are automatically thinking, is that? And for most people, because of the way the world is, in your head, you say, I don't know, you just keep pushing. Because the minute you say anything, the minute you ask a question, it's an attack. It's hurting their mental health. Oh my gosh. The victim mentality comes in. I'm sorry, they play the victim a lot. And I'm just going to say that. They play the victim a lot. You could just be asking a genuine, simple question, and it's the end of the world. That's just how it works, man. And it's nothing against nobody. But this is just the truth of it, bro. It is. You know what I'm saying? Oh, no. And me and Jason are good people. I can have this conversation with him, very simply put, because it's that easy. But for Snoop Dogg to be maligned for those comments, people start coming for him, start, ripping him to shreds. Hey, look, man, the dude was just be a regular grandpa, take his grandson to the movies, watch a good little movie, have spent time with his grandson, and created a beautiful memory for them. Maybe that's something he didn't get to enjoy as a child. Maybe his grandfather wasn't around. Maybe his grandfather had passed before he came. Whatever the case may be. But you love to create these moments with your children because they're your children and they're your grandchildren and they're your family, they're your blood. You want to bring them up that way. But here's my thing is, I want to raise my child the way I want to, not the way the world wants me to. If there's certain things I don't want them to see, certain things I don't want them to see. Don't knock me for how I feel about the way I want to raise my child. I don't tell you how to live your life. Don't tell me how to live mine. I'm just saying, if I'm going to the movies, I shouldn't have to look in the movie and then be like, Dad, hold on, I got to check for this, check for that, check for this, check for that. Because there are certain things I feel I don't want to expose my kid to. Me personally, I do not believe that we should have Pride Day in elementary schools. Never have. Why? What child knows what anything is? You can't do stuff like that. Why? Because you're not giving children a chance to grow and become themselves. See, if you grow up, I've always been like this. If you grow up, you know what I'm saying, you wake up one day, you gay, who cares? That's fine. I am not of the mindset of forcibly putting that on children, putting it in children's books, having a pride flag hanging at school so you confuse the kid because now they got to go home and ask their mom or their dad, what's this about? Why is this here? What do they mean by this? If that child is in a household where their parents don't want them to learn that, then why is that being forced? I've always said, create your own. You feel like nowhere is a safe space? Create a safe space. Go to the government, get the funding. Hey, this is a school that is open for everyone. This school is open for kids, trans kids, whatever the case may be. But why do you have to infiltrate the public school system and try to force that down kids' throats? That's not okay to me. I feel like that's messed up. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a little bit different, you know. And let's see. It's like saying all black people are gangsters and do drugs. That every white person is racist and can't season food. See, that's the lightness that I'm talking about. I love when Jason says that because that is fucking, that's priceless, bro. That is priceless. I will say this. Look, I don't think Snoop Dogg is wrong. You want to raise his grandson a certain way, let that man raise his grandson a certain way. Don't get mad at Snoop because he didn't want his grandson to see that, and he definitely wasn't prepared to answer that type of question. That is a grown person question. See, I'm gonna say this. When it comes to people talking about trans kids and this and that, what you're doing is, unfortunately, and I know I'm gonna sound like a white Republican right now, but that's okay. You're mutilating kids. You're hurting their bodies. The body goes through natural progressions in life. You cannot stop that because when you stop that, you make things worse. You make a problem bigger than what it was. You take something that was simply mental that you can work with somebody on and walk them through in life, and you turned it into a worse problem because now it's physical. You give somebody a drug that stops their body from going through puberty, you're hurting the body. You start having mastectomies and hysterectomies and stuff like that, and you're a teenager, you're destroying your body. You haven't even grown into your body yet. How are you doing this stuff to yourself and you don't even know what the hell, like what? You're not allowing your body to have its natural progression and then making changes. I've always been of the mindset, period, point blank. I'll say it outright. Until you're 18, there's so many things you can't do until you're 18. But you can choose your sex at 5 and 6. How does that make any sense? You can't give a 6-year-old a bottle of alcohol. You can't give a 6-year-old a cigarette. But they can choose whether they're a boy or a girl. It's not making sense. And people can say things on both sides. You know what I'm saying? My thing is protecting these kids and letting them grow up and live their life the way they want to live their life and stop trying to curb it. We already live in a society that does that for you in many different ways. You have to think about it. What is the goal from a societal standpoint? You go to school, you get good grades, you go to college, you get a good job, you own a house, you own a car, you have a family. That's literally the societal standpoint. That's basically what they would want you to do. Please stop me when I'm wrong. But that's the societal, that is the goal from a societal standpoint. That makes you a successful human being. When you have a job, you've been there 20, 30, 40 years, you retire at that job, you have a retirement, you have an IRA, a 401k, you have stock options, you have a home, you have a car, you possibly even lean into getting a boat or maybe even an RV. Like all of these things from a societal standpoint make you successful. That's what people think is success. When the unfortunate reality is you're never going to own anything in this world. Why? Because basically you can't. I'll give you a simplistic example. If you paid off your car and you think you own your car, here's the thing, think again. You don't pay the insurance, you can't drive that car. If you don't register that car in a year, you can't drive that car. So what happens? Done. You don't own the car. If I still got to pay insurance and I got to pay registration, do I really own the car? Because I paid it off. But if I put it on the road, I have to follow government rules. When I buy that house and I pay everything off and I've done it all, I'm good. Still got to pay insurance just in case something happens. I still have to pay property tax. Because if I don't pay the property tax, that $300,000 to $1 million that I paid for that home means nothing. But the government, the bank will come in, take it right back, and call it a day. This is just the way that life works. What's going on? Yes, we are a couple days away from football there, David. But for me personally, when it comes to this subject, leave Snoop Dogg alone. Snoop is a global icon. He's a good human being. And the man just simply said he wasn't ready for a question like that from his grandchild because he didn't anticipate that being in a movie for a kid. At the end of the day, leave children alone. Stop trying to indoctrinate them into something they don't need to understand and aren't ready to understand at such a young age. Children have to grow into who they are. Let them do that. Do not force them to make a decision so early in life that they're not even ready for it. Once again, children can't figure out what toy they want to play with from one day to the next. They can't figure out if they want daddy to dress up like a ballerina or they want dad to go out and be, a train conductor on the damn choo-choo train. When I was a kid, we used to act like we were on a train. We would line up all the chairs that we got from the table. Somebody would be the conductor one day and somebody else would be the conductor the next. You just imagine things, you're having fun. But this stuff isn't imagining. This is life changing. And these are big questions that you are forcing on parents who are saying, no, I don't need to answer that question right now because you are too young. You don't know nothing about that. And I'll answer that question when you become of age and you can comprehend what's really going on and what the changes are. See, the thing is when you're explaining this stuff to someone who can comprehend and figure out what the reality is, give them the broad spectrum of things. I'm sorry. Open the door. Give them a broader spectrum. Tell them the truth of things. Wait until they're old enough to know exactly what all these things that they're thinking about doing, what the actual outcome can be, what the truth of life is. And don't sugarcoat. Be a good person. Tell people the truth. And don't lie about it. There's a lot. See, here's the thing. There's a lot in that world, in that community. There's a lot. The reason that mental health is so big in that community because of all of the things that go along with making that life choice. It severs relationships. It destroys relationships between parents and children that can sometimes be rekindled and sometimes not. And I ain't saying that's right. I ain't saying as a parent give up on your kid if they're making a life choice like that. But I am saying as a parent, at least let your child grow up and make a life choice like that. Don't put that on them at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They don't know nothing. Let them grow as regular people and make these decisions when they're adults. But do not malign a young, a grown conservative man for stating, I did not want to have to explain that to my kid, to my grandson. Don't do that. If we have a way about ourselves that we want to live, why are we wrong for that? I don't run around telling people how to live their lives. I don't run around telling people, hey, you're wrong for this, you're wrong for that. Do it my way. Don't do it this way. I'm not going to be that person. I'm not. I'm just not. I see things every day that confuse the hell out of me. And it definitely ain't got nothing to do with the LGBTQIA community. It just be somebody walking down the street in 120-degree weather with a sweater on. That's very perplexing. I am confused and befuddled by your action. Why in 120-degree weather do you think you need to wear a sweater? That makes no sense. And that's just something simple, easy. But these are massive life decisions that you can put on a child and they aren't ready for it. Why do they have to do that? That's not okay. I'm all about protecting kids. I'm all about letting people live their life and do their thing. But at the end of the day, a child is a child, simply that. Let them grow learn and understand life before they make huge life decisions that can be extremely life altering from a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual standpoint. Stop doing this to kids. Let them be children. Let them just watch a good movie. Let them have their imagination. But do not forcibly push rhetoric on them that literally is beyond life changing. Everybody has imaginary friends when they grew up. You know what I'm saying? Some more than others. But that's simply what it was. It was imaginary. You thought that. It's not real. So let's give you a reality of what's really going on. That's how you work that. That's all I had to say on it, man. You know what I'm saying? I know some people may agree or disagree with what I have to say. Pretty sure, you know what I'm saying? Once it gets out there, the comments may be their own, but you know what I'm saying? I know I normally do nothing but sports, but every now and then I do like to talk about different subjects because I see certain things, man, and they bother me. And I'm tired of us as regular conservative human beings always being shut down for our opinions. If you notice in this video, I didn't say nothing disgusting, negative, or hateful about anybody there. I just basically said, don't force that on children. I didn't cuss nobody out. I didn't tell you how horrible of a person you are. I didn't do none of that. And you can watch the whole video. My thing is protect our children, let them be kids, let them grow up to be adults, and then make decisions. Don't make decisions for them that alter their lives in a negative light. You don't know what you're putting onto a child until you watch that kid go through those struggles. There are people in this world that have made transitions that have regretted it. They're out there. There are people in this world that have made transitions and they are the happiest person on the planet. More power to you. Do it when you're an adult, when you're a child, when you are still going through puberty, when you haven't even fully grown into your body. Don't mutilate it because you're going to regret it later. When you want to do certain things in life, or you feel a certain way, or hey, maybe you regret that decision and you try to go backwards, it ain't the walk in the park you thought it was. I love you. God loves you. Please be kind to one another. And at the same time, don't malign us for being regular, conservative, Christian people. If this is the way that we want to do things, allow us to do that. And don't be mad when we're frustrated that the world has their own idea of what they think we should do with our children. It's not fair to us. Huh. Oh, see? And you know what that is right there? That is Jason's opinion, and I respect it. I can agree to disagree on a lot of things with a lot of people. Hell, I can tell you right now, as a football fan, my own fan base don't like me a lot because I can't stand our head coach. I don't like him. But that doesn't mean we're still not fans of the team. That doesn't mean we don't hang out and we ain't cool. That doesn't mean I can't go around him and be like, yo, this is what it is. Everybody's cool. You have your opinion, I have mine. If we don't agree, that's okay. We find a happy medium and life moves on. I got nothing but love for Jason. Have a beer with this guy? Hell, let's have 40. I don't care. Jason's a really good dude. He is a very, very good human being. He is just one of the smartest and nicest people I've ever met. Hell, being a part of this community and you know what I'm saying, being on YouTube has brought me to so many different people I would have never known. And I can appreciate that. Nothing but love for Jason. That's his opinion. This is mine. But either way, we're going to definitely be back with some sports a little bit later. We're going to talk about some things. I'm going to try to switch some things around as far as I can say. Do a little something a little different, trying to wait for First Take to jump on TV. See if we can watch it and get a couple of ideas and whatnot. But thank y'all so much for tuning in. Once again, this is not negativity, hate, or painful rhetoric. I'm just saying, don't be mad at Snoop Dogg for wanting to raise his grandson a specific way. and not wanting to have those types of conversations about sexuality at such an early age, and about how, you know, people love people. You can talk to people about that when they get older, when they're ready for something like that. When that's a grown conversation, not a conversation to be had with a child. Either way, it is what it is. Y'all stay up, stay faithful, stay blessed.